joining today. This is our third webinar in the series, and today it's all about device management. Just to let you know about the webinar today, it is being recorded. The session shouldn't be any longer than an hour. Everyone has been automatically muted on entry, and if you have any questions, please use the chat box function. Sometimes people use the Q&A box function and it gets missed. So if you don't know Teams at all, you'll have a little toolbox at the top and there should be an icon like a speech bubble, and that's called the chat, and that'll open a box on the right hand side and you can put your questions in there to answer at the end of the webinar. And then after the webinar, of course, you'll be sent an email with a link of today's recording and a copy of the slides. So I'm Caroline, the head of marketing at IT Champion. If you've been on our webinars before, you'll probably know me. But the lead today, our expert lead, is Dan, who's our cloud infrastructure lead. The webinar will be going through what is device management, the journeys within an organisation, within a modern workplace, our expertise in the field, and at the end, obviously, questions and answers. So what is device management? What does it include and cover within a modern organisation? People are working in more places with more flexibility and more devices. Technology must keep users connected and productive while reinforcing security posture in the organisation and in an increasingly sophisticated and complex world. Device management instantly administers controls across your organisation's endpoints from an integrated cloud-based platform, which allows your organisation to update, monitor, control, and enforce compliance, access, data protection policies on employee devices, unlike time-consuming administrative in-person checks and reliance on proactive compliance and maintenance that each employee has to do. So what are our top 5 key components for device management? So the first is policy and governance, which means it establishes clear policies and government procedures essential to ensure that the devices are being used securely and in compliance with relevant regulations. This includes policies around device usage, acceptable use, security protocols, and data compliance requirements. Second one is that inventory of your devices and the management of that. So maintaining an accurate and up-to-date inventory of all the devices within your organisation, including company-owned devices, employee-owned devices that have access, and other devices such as printers and routers. This inventory should include details such as the make and model, the operating system, the software installed, and any hardware specifications. Thirdly, there's the security of that mobile device, which is a critical component in ensuring that all devices used in your organisation are secure. This includes implementing security protocols such as password policies, encryption, antivirus software, as well as ensuring that all the devices are regularly updated with the latest software patches and firmware. For businesses with a large number of mobile devices, implementing mobile device management software can help to streamline that management process and automate device enrollment and configuration, as well as enforce key security policies. The fourth is user training and awareness, educating users on how to use devices securely and how to recognise and report security threats is really good for continual device management. This includes providing training on device security practices and conducting regular awareness campaigns and providing ongoing support and guidance for your users. If you're one of our Support Plus clients, then you have access to our free monthly cybersecurity training sessions that any of your employees can join to keep them up to date and aware of the latest developments. And then finally, asset disposal and recycling. We make sure that all devices are disposed of and recycled securely and responsibly. And this includes wiping data from those devices before disposal and ensuring that all devices are recycled to the relevant regulations and standards. So the benefits of device management are there on screen. They're the core ones. But we've also got some additional ones which include protecting your actual digital workers, those people who work digitally on your systems. It creates a secure and flexible work environment while improving endpoint visibility on your network and reduces those security costs with pre-integrated identity and endpoint management security solutions. It also simplifies IT management. It makes sure that there's an automated system updates can reduce that cost and optimizes the IT administration, which improves those efficiencies for new devices and apps and data management. And it also eliminates redundant solutions. So it helps consolidate any complex licensing structures that you may have within your devices and helps eliminate redundant capabilities while benefiting from the same system's seamless native integration. So what are these journeys that we've talked about? So we've come up with 3 core ones that we see day to day within our business. And the first is device enrollment. And that's the first step of any device management strategy, is to establish that process of how you enroll any devices, which is registering and configuring them for use within your business. This process should include verifying that device user's identity and enforcing security policies, and ensuring that devices are up to date with the latest software and firmware. And implementing that software is crucial to managing the security of any of your devices on your system, which often is used to access corporate data outside of your company's physical premises. So enrolling users' devices, there is a program called Autopilot, which is a cloud-based service from Microsoft that allows companies to pre-configure new devices before they're even turned on. So with Autopilot, we can help you set up and configure these devices remotely without the need for on-site IT staff. When a device is enrolled in Autopilot, it's linked to your company's Azure Active Directory and Intune, which is Microsoft's device management platform. This allows you to apply company policies and configurations to the device, including installing software, security settings, and network settings. Autopilot can speed up the deployment by allowing users to finalize settings on their own devices without the need for any IT assistance. And Autopilot enrolled devices are pre-configured with your company's settings and policies, so users can simply turn on the device and follow a few simple steps to get started. Overall, Autopilot plays a vital role in managing company-owned devices by simplifying the device deployment process and reducing that burden on any of your IT staff, and ensuring that devices are configured with the necessary settings and policies to meet your business requirements. So I'm going to hand over to Dan, who will show you what enrolling a user's device actually entails, and how we install work-related applications on a user's own device.
I'm going to talk through what happens from a technology viewpoint when we enroll a new device, be it laptop or mobile. We would have worked with you to predefine apps, profiles, and configurations based on needs, Microsoft 365 licensing, and internal organization. On the screen is a new user's company-owned laptop and mobile. The laptop has already been configured by IT Champion and delivered to the user. The user has been given a new company iPhone, and we will follow the user-driven enrollment process to get the device set up for the first time. Compared to personal iPhones, the setup process has been cut down from around 25 steps to get set up to around 7 steps. The remove steps are predefined in Intune to remove options which are not required for the organization. The user's Apple ID is synced with their Microsoft 365 credentials, ensuring a single sign-on experience across all of their devices. The predefined apps and configurations are then downloaded to the device within a few minutes to ensure the user has everything that they need. Further restrictions have been implemented in this example to mitigate unauthorized changes. Options for factory resetting the device have been removed, and a reset would need to be initiated from the Intune portal. In this section, we will talk about personal mobile devices, often referred to as BYD devices. In this case, the user has decided to download the various Microsoft 365 apps onto their personal mobile to be able to access work resources. There are apps for all sections of Microsoft 365 to enable access when you're away from your laptop. The video on screen demonstrates getting these various applications set up and illustrates that data is synced with your Microsoft account and is accessible from anywhere with an internet connection. In this example, ITC have configured a set of policies to secure the data within these applications based on the organization's requirements. A PIN/biometric is required to access the data within these applications. Backups of organizational data to personal storage areas such as iCloud or iTunes have been disabled, and printing of organizational data from these applications has also been disabled. Conditional access has also been utilized to enforce this. Microsoft SharePoint data is accessible using the mobile app by logging in with your Microsoft 365 credentials. This makes it possible to quickly and easily access company data from alternative devices from anywhere. This also applies to other Microsoft 365 apps and services such as OneDrive, Teams, OneNote, and many more. Having this data stored in Microsoft 365 ensures data is not lost if a device were to fail or be misplaced. This also makes setting up new devices much more efficient. As you can see in the video, the user was able to log into the Microsoft SharePoint application and access company files. During this process, the application became instantly managed by Intune, and the user was required to restart the application before continuing any further. This entire process was completed in under a minute. The on-screen video demonstrates accessing Microsoft Edge from a mobile device. Settings, preferences, and most importantly, favorites are synced from the user's laptop to allow them to pick up from where they left off on their other devices. Although favorites are not necessarily a requirement for completing everyday tasks, these little things can significantly improve productivity. Again, within this example, you will notice that during the setup process, there is a notification that the application has now become managed and the user must restart the app to apply the new settings. This is only seen during the sign-in process of a new application and not each time a user opens the app.
Great, thanks, Dan. So the second journey involves network security and user activities. Network security should be a top priority for any organization, which means implementing firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and regular security audits, which all can help prevent those unauthorized access and data breaches. User activities are monitored and controlled by device management, such as predefining which user can access certain drives, file locations, and servers, to monitoring who access those shared files, company apps, with even location information alongside date and time. We support thousands of users within hundreds of environments with protocols and policies and controls from industry-leading platforms. So device management gives you that greater ability to control your company-owned devices. And Intune is a cloud-based device management solution for Microsoft that enables IT administrators like IT Champion to manage the security and compliance of company-owned devices. With Intune, you can manage devices such as laptops, PCs, mobile devices from a single web-based console. Intune provides a range of features that allows us to manage devices across their lifecycle, from enrollment to decommissioning. We can also configure policies such as password requirements and encryption. One of the key benefits of Intune is its ability to manage devices regardless of their location. And this means that we can manage devices that are in the office, at home, or even on the go. Additionally, Intune device setting manage updates, distribute apps, and enforces security updates with other Microsoft services such as Azure Active Directory, which allows us to control user access to your company resources. Intune supports a range of device platforms, including Windows, macOS, iOS, and Android. This means that we can manage all your company devices from a single console, regardless of the platform you are running. Overall, Intune plays a vital role in managing company-owned devices by providing a comprehensive set of management features that enable us to secure and protect your company's data and devices. So this chart scenario here is going to look at remote resetting by device management versus that traditional route. So if you take a look at a typical scenario we encounter as your managed IT support provider, the managed support client might have a user whose device isn't performing as it should. It's slow, it keeps crashing, and it's had lots of intermittent low-level issues. If the device is managed by us, we can remotely reset that device without losing any work. That's as long as the user has been using OneDrive for the files and not the hard drive or desktop. The second route, which is the lower one, shows a device that's not managed via Intune or Autopilot. So after the initial help desk support, we would ask for the device to be sent to us for further investigation if we couldn't fix it, where we'd run diagnostics, repair, or even rebuild the device before sending it back to the user and having them to call us to complete additional setups such as printers and other access configurations. And the user would have had lost favorites and arrangements of shortcuts on their desktop and other permitted ways the user had personalized the device. Now, within a modern workplace solution, the user device stays with them, and then after about 30 minutes or so, their device will be reset with all files and apps and favorites in the same place as before. So within a modern workplace solution, a device that is managed can be back and up and running in hours rather than days. Next, Dan will demonstrate a mobile device and then a laptop being reset via Intune.
In this section, we will look at resetting a company-owned mobile. There are many reasons why an organization may need to reset a company-owned device. Having a strong device management strategy and policy means we can do this remotely and securely within minutes of being notified. This video demonstrates wiping of a company-owned iPhone from the Microsoft Intune portal. This video shows you what happens on a user's company-owned iPhone when we send a request to wipe the device. After a few seconds, the phone will shut down, run through its reset process, and end with the setup screen once it has been reset. Two common examples where this procedure is beneficial is when the device needs to be repurposed for another user, or if the device has been lost or misplaced. Once the device has been reset, the device still knows that it is part of your organization, and therefore it must be set up with an account which is part of that Microsoft tenant. This video demonstrates initiating a wipe of a Windows device from the Microsoft Intune portal. The device will shortly reboot and complete its factory reset, removing all data, settings, applications, and enrollment status. The device will perform a reinstall of the Windows operating system before booting back up to the Windows Autopilot setup screen. In this example, the user's laptop, which was previously set up by ITC, is regularly crashing and therefore needs to be reset and reconfigured. Previously, this may have taken a couple of days to get turned around due to needing to get the device to ITC to be rebuilt, which involves getting the device wiped and the apps and settings manually set up on the device. The device then may have needed to be delivered to the office to be joined to the organization's server and the user profile then set up by a technician before being handed back to the user. Within a modern workplace environment, by utilizing Microsoft Intune and Windows Autopilot, we can achieve and automate the same process within an hour. This process is demonstrated on screen in double time. A remote reset can be initiated from the Microsoft Intune portal. Once a device has been reset, the user is prompted to connect to an internet connection, be it Wi-Fi or an Ethernet connection. At this point, the device recognizes that it is part of the organization's Windows Autopilot program and prompts the user to sign in with their Microsoft 365 credentials. At this point, the device will begin to download all of the apps, configurations, and data which is tied to that user's account, and at the same time, securing the device by enabling things such as device encryption. You might only see this process if a device needs to be remotely reset due to an issue or has been repurposed for a new user. Most of the time, our Support Plus clients who have ordered a new computer will have this process completed by ITC so that the device is delivered and ready to use once unboxed. As you can see, once this process completes, the user now has instant access to all of their Microsoft 365 applications, their personal OneDrive account, company SharePoint site, and Teams is populated with the channels pertaining to their role, with supporting apps used by the organization. Personal Edge browser favorites are also retained. This is the power of device management for organizations. We can help businesses streamline these once time-heavy IT admin tasks, saving both time and money in not only setting up company-owned devices, but the need to ship the device to multiple locations before it is ready to use. A managed company-owned device also helps reduce the burden of manually installing new apps, as these can be managed centrally and pushed to users' devices without interruption. These things combined help maintain uptime and ensure the user has what they need, and also ensures the device is secure.
Thanks, Dan. So the final one is endpoint security and BYOD policy, which is bring your own device. So good device management policy gives you the flexibility to control and secure your data on any device, even those you don't own. With endpoint security, you can secure your data on virtually any device. Enrolled devices give us the ability to provision settings, certificates and profiles, and report and measure device compliance, remove company data, and more. Mobile application management can push application settings, report app inventory and usage, and secure or remove company data with mobile apps on a user's personal device. MDM software allows IT companies like us to remotely manage and monitor mobile devices, enforce security policies such as device encryption, and remotely wipe data in case of loss or theft. Endpoint security software should be installed on all company-owned devices to protect against malware, ransomware, and other threats. This software should include features of antivirus protection, firewall, and intrusion prevention systems. If employees are allowed to use their own devices for work purposes, it's essential to establish a good BYOD policy that outlines security requirements for these devices. This policy should include guidelines for password protection, data encryption, and device access controls. So device management quickly protects compromised devices. Securing a mobile phone is quick and easy, and for example, a company-owned iPhone can be remotely wiped and reset to factory seconds within minutes. Then for a personal phone of a user which might have left the organization, or in the unfortunate event of that being lost or stolen, we can complete a selective wipe of your data, meaning that the organizational data within Microsoft applications is removed. Dan will now demonstrate how this looks from an Intune platform to device.
The video on screen demonstrates a selective wipe of the Microsoft applications the user has installed on their personal mobile. Only the organizational data is removed from these apps, and other accounts which may be configured within the app remain intact. This gives you the confidence that the organizational data has been removed from the device without interfering with the user's personal data. Microsoft Intune knows which applications the user has configured on the device and reports a status of the selective wipe as it progresses. Following on from the previous section where a selective wipe was initiated, the on-screen video demonstrates what is seen from the user's perspective once the selective wipe completes. The user would get a notification within the applications to advise the organizational data had been removed from the app which their Microsoft account was added to.
Thanks, Dan. So these are the core journeys of device management within a modern workplace solution. We work with all our Support Plus clients to ensure their device management is as robust as it can be. And we also are on hand to advise on the best practices and explain the real advantages of having these in play. So we're at our journey's end. So what's left to know? Best practice tips. By implementing the core components of good device management, you can be confident that any devices on your network are used securely and in compliance with relevant regulations, which reduces the risk of data breaches and the impact of any other types of security incidents. The practical outcomes of time saving and an increased IT efficiencies are just part of that success of having a modern workplace solution. Device management is vital for any size of business who are embracing the hybrid and remote working practices. So who makes up the team that look after all your devices on your network? So you've heard from Dan today, who's our cloud infrastructure lead. You might know him already from him helping you out. Then we've got Martin, who is a cloud infrastructure engineer, and Paul, who is also on the cloud infrastructure team, and finally Sam, who's our cybersecurity analyst. And today it's fresh and over to you for any questions that you might have. Anybody got any questions at all? Oh, might have one coming in. Dan, just want to make sure, are you still there?
Yeah.
Cool. So we've got a question, would you say it's better to have staff using company-owned devices rather than personal? Dan?
So it really depends on what they're using it for. If they're using it for just things like mail, then you may find that it's perfectly adequate to have a BYD policy for those. There is a great divide, like organizations do still use BYD. It really depends on what they're going to be doing on them. If they need a company sort of number with them, it really depends on your requirements.
Well, if there's any more questions about device management, I'm not too sure, but I know from somebody who is one of those hybrid workers that I certainly do really use device management. I use both a company-owned device and my personal devices. So knowing that it's all secure and that I follow those policies and I have multi-factor authentication, which is becoming a part of life, even if you're having to sign into Amazon or Facebook or any other of your personal applications, we are now getting used to day to day with those extra security and encryption pieces. I'd like to thank everybody for joining. It's certainly under the hour today. As I said at the start of the presentation of the webinar, the recording of this will be put in an email to you, which you should get at the first half of next week. I'll also be sending out a survey about the webinar today and asking you about any webinars you'd like to see and hear from in the future. And I thank everybody for coming today.